We're up to part 4 of our conversation with Tom Brislin of Kansas. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. How did you get the Yes gig? So many people ask me to ask you that.
I was Meatloaf's pianist from late 98 into 2001, and last work that I did with him was a studio album called Couldn't Have Said It Better. And around that time we were making the album, Yes had heard about me through my working with Meatloaf. They had the same management at the time, so it was more possible for people internally to say, well, check this guy out. Because you know how they're always wanting to get Rick Wakeman back, and he was on a tour of his own that year in 2001 playing big venues. And so they knew that they had a chance of getting him back the following year in 2002. And I think the wheels turned internally saying, okay, well, let's use an orchestra instead of a keyboardist. That was the first idea. And then I guess that idea didn't hold very long. And then it was, well, let's use an orchestra and have a keyboardist in the orchestra to play some piano and organ. And then that was an idea that was on the table. And then John Anderson calls me and we're talking and he's like, I'm not going to do the voice, but I'm going to say he wanted everything. He said, I want every keyboard sound that you've ever heard on these Yes albums, and I hear that you sing too, so we want you to do backing vocals, which isn't usually a responsibility of a keyboardist of Yes. And I really loved that because I got to double Chris Squire on a lot of backing vocals, and there is nothing like it. There was nothing like it, that sound. And also when John sang, to be singing with John and Chris, like that was some of my favorite vocal combination in rock ever. And to just be jumping in there was almost as exciting as playing the keys for me. So they sent me a live recording and said, all right, we want you to play keyboards on 2 songs, record it, send it back to us. And of course the 2 songs were Close to the Edge and Gates of Delirium, nearly 40 minutes of music. But it makes a lot of sense because if you go for the jugular and you figure if this kid can handle that stuff, then we should be in good shape for the rest of the show. And so I did what I could do, sent them the CD, and they said, all right, come visit us. We want to talk with you. And I was already in California doing the album with Meatloaf. So after that was done, I met them. I think they were recording Magnification album at one of Trevor Horn's houses. I think they had a mobile rig in there, and it was very pleasant atmosphere. They were just like creating music, writing songs, hanging out, making dinner. It was a very homey vibe. And I showed up, and they didn't know what to make of me. They looked a lot younger. And they're like, this kid's going to play Yes music. And then when I started talking to them, they realized that I was a big enthusiast of Yes music and that I would take care of business. And then they heard the CD, so that was good too. So then I got the shot, but they said, you're going to be on for this year, and then Rick's coming back next year. So it was a predetermined amount of time that I would be part of this. Because of that, I think also they didn't really want to assert my personality. They didn't put me in the tour book, the program that you could buy. I'm not in there. I'm listed on the DVD of Symphonic Live as additional musicians, plural, and there's just me. But thankfully, retroactively, the guys in the band have sort of christened me an official Yes band member if you look at Yes World. And I still have a good relationship with those guys. And when I saw them on Cruise to the Edge in 2019, right after that cruise, I was playing with The Sea Within. I was going to jump on another cruise ship and begin my tenure with Kansas. All the Yes guys were super excited about it for me. They were really happy to see that I was becoming part of this group. So that was nice to get that encouragement from them as well.
The title song, the first track on the album, I read the liners, and I the fact that you and Phil got together and created this monstrous title song. Tell me about the process of. Well, let's go back a little bit. What was the first song that you wrote for the album? Let's go there first.
The first song that I wrote for the album was Memories Down the Line. And that was something that I presented music and lyrics for in a demo form, just sort of.
Yeah, that's all yours. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think now, the song Propulsion 1, which is the instrumental, I had written most of that years and years and years ago, but it was never appropriate for whatever project I was doing at the time. And a light bulb went off and said, oh, I need to bring this up to date and bring it out and finish it and get this going, because I think this is total Kansas. And so technically that song is the oldest. But as far as what I started presenting with intention for the record, I would say something, Memories Down the Line is a complete project. And I would say Throwing Mountains might have been the first lyric to one of Zach's songs.
Throwing Mountains like a dinosaur song to me, like a big dinosaur's coming through. Get out of my way. I'm freaking coming through, man.
It was the first of Zach's songs that I had heard for the new record. So it was a complete slate. So what Zach does, he makes these very detailed demos with all the parts composed, but he doesn't sing and he doesn't write lyrics. Actually, he does some vocals on the album and he's pretty good, but he prefers to play the vocal melodies that he composes on guitar on the demo. So we have a point of reference. Now, I know that there's a common question, what do you write first, lyrics or music? And it's a toss-up, because a lot of times I write music first. But here was a situation where the melodies were all there, and then Phil likes to come up with titles of songs, which I think is cool, because it pushes you. It starts the ball rolling and gets your wheels turning. Yeah. There are other songs like Jets Overhead, or my songs like Memories Down the Line, or the song The River Sang, that are complete blank slates from the get-go. But with Throwing Mountains, The Absence of Presence, and Animals on the Roof, and I think Never was one of Phil's ideas for Ronnie to write the lyrics for. So Phil would just throw out these titles and he'd say a little bit. It's like, here's what it means to me and what I was thinking and why I think it's cool. And that's it. He doesn't say, I need you to write a lyric about this subject matter. No, he just kind of has a conversation with us and talks about what's on his mind. And that's a great way to get started. And for me, I love writing lyrics, but it's the slowest part of my process. I write music all the time, but lyrics, I have to sit down and rework them and really, because a lot of us, we're musicians first and foremost, and writers, if that comes later in the process. On our YouTube channel, we're lucky, we've done really well on YouTube. And on our Facebook groups, one of the questions was, what's your main keyboard? What's your go-to keyboard? Well, that's with a guy like you, there's not just one, obviously, but it oscillates, no pun intended. I mean, for me, the go-to instrument is the piano. Yeah. I as much as I love multi-keys, and I do endeavor to be a synthesist as opposed to just a piano player who puts a synth in front of themselves, and that I love to develop sounds and to use the expressive controls that a synth offers. But I got really heavy into piano as a teenager and beyond, studying classical music, studying jazz, and that is the instrument for me first and foremost. I would say maybe 80% of the songs I write originate on the piano. But I have such an affinity for other instruments in the keyboard family. Like, I'll geek out about Hammond organs, and then when it comes to the synths, I had the little brother of the DX7, the DX27, the one that mere mortals could afford. Wait a minute, how much was a DX7 back then? Do you remember? Oh, it was like, I don't know, close to $2,000, I guess, which seemed insurmountable to a 13-year-old. But I just wanted pro keys, so I could be in a band and be real, so to speak. But it always comes back to piano for me. And I'm glad that I kept on it and kept the discipline to practice the piano, because that's come in definitely quite handy in my career. Yeah.
Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. Buy a t-shirt, help support our channel. Links in the description of this video, and all links for Kansas and Tom Brislin in the description as well. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rocky Street Music. Take care of yourself.